Hi again. Welcome back. Today I want to keep a little bit more of a broader topic today. We're going to just discuss things I like in sci-fi and just all of it. Let's just keep going. Let's just get into it. So, science fiction, something I have been incredibly passionate about since I was 8. I'm definitely the type that when you put me in front of like a show or a movie, I can watch like one episode each the first time it comes out, and I will memorize, like I will absorb that stuff like a sponge, to the point that when I go back and rewatch it, I'm usually rewatching it for specific moments. Does that make sense? It's one of the things that I recognize in myself is why I know that it's such an important topic to me. You know, like I stated in a previous video, it started when I was 8 with Star Wars, and then it kind of like built up to my father giving me DVD recordings of Battlestar Galactica, the original, or catching episodes of Stargate SG-1 and Star Trek The Next Generation. Don't know why I almost mixed those together. Enterprise, Voyager. I unfortunately missed Deep Space Nine, and that's kind of tragic in its own way because I consider it to be my all-time favorite of Star Trek. But, yeah. You know, watching all of these shows and stuff and these movies growing up, it really kind of helped build my love for the aesthetic and these universes as a whole. And as I've gotten older, it has not changed. You know, I fell in love immediately with shows like The Expanse or Foundation, which, by the way, quick side note, not everybody has Apple TV, obviously, but if you can get a hold of the ability to watch the show Foundation, please do. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It is so good, and it is based on one of the key book series in the past called Foundation. One of the pillars, in my opinion, of where sci-fi is today. I put it kind of like alongside other books back then, like I, Robot and Frank Herbert's Dune series, is kind of like the inspiration for of how sci-fi is today. A lot of inspirational concepts such as, like, you know, the laws of robots, like thou shalt never hurt a human, that kind of stuff, intergalactic empires, god emperors, desert worlds that have key characters that have importance. You get what I'm saying? Like, a lot of universes pull concepts from that. But anyway, so I have to honestly say that, you know, most of science fiction to me is very important because it also represents my idea of a future. Not all of them. Some of them are just like really fun adventure, action slash, you know, fun romps. Like Star Wars is more of like, you know, kind of like that, I want to say masculine adventure, but it's kind of for everybody. And I'm always an advocate of it for being everybody, so I don't know how to explain it. It's more like an adventure thing. It's kind of like Stargate. That one's just like, it's a fun adventure concept of like what would happen if we could go to other worlds. I really like it because it's also got kind of like mythology mixed in, which is fun. But Star Trek, there's a lot of stars in these sci-fi shows I noticed. Star Trek, that I consider to be my idea version of what my future, or anyone's future, I would like to think that it could become. Obviously, I won't be around long enough to see anything like that, but, you know, the concept of a utopia society that has turned its attention to the stars for exploration because mankind has managed to solve things like world hunger, housing crisis, money's no longer an issue just in general, disagreements on ideology, faith, sexuality, all of these things, they're all in the past. It's a utopia idea that right now is unrealistic, but it's still still a goal worth reaching out towards. But I also like on the opposite spectrum things like Battlestar Galactica, the Alien series, where it's more dark, gritty, gruesome, and you don't really want that kind of future. Same with Warhammer 40,000, I'm a huge fan of that. Although that one's more of a collector's hobby where I play the tabletop game. And they kind of like smashed in the middle is another universe I love called Battletech, otherwise known to the more broader audiences as Mech Warrior, Mech Assault games. It's that universe. But yet again, it's like if you took today's society and just slammed it into the future the way we are right now, but added more of a feudal concept to it with giant robots that can level cities. There's that too. Other concepts, it's like kind of in the middle there as well, is like Mass Effect. Huge fan of that game series. I could go on and on and on about just so many different media types that I consume within the genre. A lot of it could be argued that it's very surface level, like, well, everyone likes that kind of like, being a fan of the movie Starship Troopers or playing Helldivers and loving that stuff. And most people don't even think about it that way too when it comes to sci-fi. They'll be like, oh yeah, it's a really fun game or a really fun movie, but it's all science fiction in the end, and it still scratches those itches for me. Like, one of the big itches that I love to scratch is like my love for starfighters that dogfight in space with capital ships bombarding each other around, or lightsaber force wielders dueling it out on planets, or big battles between two opposing armies and they've got blasters and stuff. Like, there's so many things that I love, but I've got my criticisms sometimes too. But at the end of the day, it's just really, really cool. Like, I love fantasy, don't get me wrong. Like, I love my Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, but it'll never quite hit that mark like sci-fi does. Yeah. But dialing it back, Star Trek. So we'll touch that one a little bit here. I consider Deep Space Nine to be my favorite, obviously, followed by Strange New Worlds currently, which I know it's a newer show, and I know people kind of have like their opinions about the newer Star Trek. I believe that Strange New Worlds is probably the best of new Star Trek that exists currently right now as it is. They really, really found their mark to make a show that's both new but feels familiar. So that's why it's my number 2. Those are my top 2. I would go beyond that, but that could be its own thing on its side. When it comes to Star Wars, my favorite film currently at this moment would be Phantom Menace. Otherwise, A New Hope. I kind of like the beginnings of trilogies. They kind of have this thing, this magic about them that's really nice. Otherwise, my favorite film tends to fluctuate week by week or moment by moment. I like so much of that universe in general that it's really always hard for me to pin down specific thing, because for me it's more like moment based. Like, I could tell you I love Attack of the Clones, but specifically I like it for, say, the Battle of Geonosis. I like the whole Jedi battle thing. Like, that's usually what I like about it. But I might skip the rest of the movie, or I'll tell you I like Revenge of the Sith, but I might want to watch only just the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's bits and pieces of each movie that I kind of put together in like this box, and I'm like, I like all these different moments. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Battlestar Galactica. I like the old one. I like the new one. I do like the new one more, mostly because the new one actually managed to be a complete story, whereas the old one unfortunately kind of got canceled. So it's tragic in its own way, because it was definitely a more family oriented thing, and it definitely had better fight scenes in some aspects, because the new one was more drama heavy, whereas the old one was not. If that makes sense. Mass Effect. Love the second game, I think, the most. I didn't mind Andromeda, personally. I liked the companions in Andromeda. I know that's a very touchy subject, too, because a lot of people didn't like Andromeda. But yes, I think the second one is the best one, in my opinion. But, yeah. When it comes to Stargate, SG-1 all the way. The movie, great. Atlantis, admittedly, I could not stay into it as much as I could SG-1, but I think it's just because SG-1 just has that core magic experience, and the cast and characters are just, they're wonderful. I originally did not like the final 2 seasons of SG-1, but those characters have also really grown on me in the years that have passed. But yeah, you know, we all have our favorites. We all have our opinions on different things in sci-fi. But the one thing that I think that unites all of us is our shared love and passion for the broader subject. Whether you're a fan of, for example, old Star Wars only, or the new, or you like it all, there's still something that we can all agree on. So it is a little difficult sometimes, you know, when I bring up the subject that, you know, someone will come along and tell you, well, you're a shill for liking the new stuff. It was the old stuff that was best, or things have been killed off now by the corporate CEOs. And it's just like, you know, it gets exhausting sometimes. But I'm kind of used to it at this point. So I'm more of the opinion that if you like it, you like it. Who really cares? Nobody can really take that from you. You know what I mean? Agree to disagree. But, you know, with a lot of my ramblings and yappings about sci-fi, I kind of felt like kind of just talking to you, the viewer. However, I do want to go ahead and state real quick, or request, whichever you want to call it. If you have a topic you want me to specifically cover, please let me know in the comments below, or on the side, wherever you're watching me from. Let me know what you would like me to discuss. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue doing these long rambling yaps about whatever comes to my head. And I will also continue to release fun facts on the side. But I do encourage the feedback, guys. I really do. There's a lot to cover. It is a very, very daunting subject. I'm telling you, like, I want to focus on Star Wars, but I also really want to talk about Star Trek. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there's just so much ground to cover. So let me know what you would like to hear about. And if you see someone else comment something you too would want to know about, like their comment. Kind of like a voting system. Does that make sense? Help me out here. And I want to teach you a thing or two. But yes, please stay humble, stay delightful, be positive to one another if you can. And as always, may the Force be with you.